All right, Functional Fitness Elite. We are in B day of phase 4. So very similar format to what we did in A day. We are going to execute a 10 to 15 minute movement prep that is basically exactly the same as phase 3. And then we're going to get into a superset. So just like we did in A day, in week 1, we're going to go 7 rounds of 7 repetitions of, today we're doing dumbbell bench press, and then we're going to follow that up with 20 reps of some kettlebell swings. You'll see in the video today that I swing a dumbbell because I don't have kettlebells. Okay. And then as a reminder, kind of like we talked about in the A-Day video, each subsequent week, so week 14, 15, and 16, the sets, reps, and loads change. So the number of rounds, the sets increase, the reps decrease, and the load increases. And then you will always follow the set of the core lift, whether it's deadlift, bench press in today's workout, or squats in C-Day workout with 20 reps of your second exercise of the superset. Okay. Once you finish all the rounds of your superset, then we're going to get into a short circuit. Today's circuit is just 3 exercises. Okay. TRX rows, TRX face pulls, and then a single leg dumbbell or kettlebell RDL. And you're going to go 3 rounds or 3 sets of 10 repetitions on each exercise, kind of execute at your own pace. Okay. Have another new conditioning routine at the end for B-Day in phase 4. So I think you'll really enjoy it. So let's get into the movement prep. First is we're going to lie down on our back, and we're going to go some hip circles. So the magical number of these will be 10 on just about everything. Okay. Just like last phase, this is pretty much the same. We're going to try to bring our hip, that ball and socket joint, through a full range of motion and try to disassociate that joint from all of other parts of our body. So bringing our knee up to our chest, drawing a big circle on the ceiling, trying to open the gate, lower our whole lower leg to the floor as one unit. So our knee and our toe are pointing in the same direction, and then extending the leg. So nice and slow and controlled. You can actually get a little bit more out of this by kind of contracting all the muscles in your leg and your glute and around that ball and socket joint. That little bit of extra resistance kind of helps feed all the proprioceptors and gets things loosened up a little bit better. So 10 reps on the right and then 10 reps on the left. Bring the knee up to the chest, open the gate, extend the leg, trying to get the whole leg moving as one unit. As large of a range of motion as you possibly can, pain-free. Okay, so if you start to get some sort of weird pinching or snap, crackle, popping that's painful or irritating, just shorten the range of motion a little bit. That's totally fine. It's something that we can build up to. Or if you have some sort of hip issue, then we can just avoid it. All right, so next we're going to go with some dead bugs. Okay, so we've got cross-crawling pattern on our back. Going to extend the right arm and the left leg. Going to try to draw the belly button in and pull the ribs down and in as well. So you're really kind of using those deepest muscles of the core, that transverse abdominis, to stabilize, keeping the pelvis and the spine in a neutral position. So 10 reps with the right arm and left leg, then we'll switch to the left arm and the right leg. Same idea, your abs might burn a little bit. Just keep trying to really draw in. Don't let that belly pop out. If you're pressing out, you're kind of using that rectus abdominis, or that 6-pack type of muscle. So we're trying to use those deeper ones on this one. Arm and leg are disassociating. That ball and socket joint of both the shoulder and the hip are moving without any of the movement in the rest of the body. And we're having to support the other leg stuck in space. Now we're going to flip over to a child's pose. So as much as you can, rocking the hips back to the heels. Going to lock the right arm in between both your knees, keeping it stuck to the floor. Then we're going to try to open the shoulders and point our elbow to the ceiling as we follow our elbow with our eyes. So ideally getting the shoulders at least 50 degrees to the ground, really trying to open that whole upper back and chest up. We'll go 10 reps there. So once we switch, now we're pointing that right elbow at the ceiling. Rocking back in that child's pose, kind of similar to that sideline rotation that we did in A Day, locks all those little facet joints in that lower back in place and makes all the motion come out of the upper back. So pretty important thing for some parts of your spine to be able to move really well. There we go. Following the hand with the eyes, pointing the elbow with the ceiling. 10 reps there. All right, so next we're moving on to the cat cows or the cat camels. So you're going to really use your breath on this one. You want to exhale through pursed lips as you draw the belly in and round the back up to the ceiling. Okay, chuck your tailbone underneath as you look back through the legs. Then you inhale through the nose as you expand the belly and look up at the lights. So you're getting the whole spine flexing and extending globally together. Spine has to be able to move. Some things we want it stable and stiff and strong. Other times we want it to be able to move. 2 markers of excellent health. So 10 reps there. Now we're going to go back to the good old bear crawls. So same principles we've been working on for the last 2 phases. Remember, this is a very challenging core exercise. Harder than it looks. So trying to keep the knees more or less underneath the hips. The wrists more or less underneath the shoulders. Taking little baby hand length steps with the opposite arm and leg. Remember, both are leaving and returning to the ground at the exact same time under control. Okay, so display great control, pushing strongly into the floor. Opposite arm and leg, leave and return. Try to maintain that tabletop position really well the whole time. Okay, now we're going to stand up on our feet next. We're going to place ourselves in a split stance. This is called that front butt matrix. It's a funny name for this one. Okay, so we're going to reach down and up, staying stuck in that split stance 3 times. And then we're going to switch to a frontal plane reach. So we're going to lean our torso, side bend our torso side to side each time 3 times, and then reach over top while we side bend. Okay, and then we're going to rotate our torso by touching down to the floor inside of our front foot, and then rotating over our opposite shoulder. And then we're going to touch down outside our front foot, reach over the opposite shoulder. So 3 times each direction, down and up, side to side, twisting one direction, then twisting the other. Now we'll switch our legs. Same thing on the other side. So down and up 3 times, flexion and extension. And we're going some lateral flexion, side bending our torso, reaching, trying to challenge our balance, going right to the edges of what we can control safely and stand up out of it. Touching down inside the foot, twisting over the opposite shoulder. Remember, try to follow your hands with your eyes. That makes you have to maintain balance as your head turns. And then outside the foot, twist over the opposite shoulder. 3 times each. Great work. Okay. Next, we're going to go with an active groin stretch. So rocking side to side, trying to keep the hips on the same level. We'll do just 5 of these on each side. And be trying to press your bent knee wide while that trailing leg goes all the way straight. Hips slide backwards so our feet can stay flat. You can use the floor. If you want to just put your hands on your knees as well, that's totally fine. The next one, we're going to go some hip pop-ups. So feet are shoulder width. Dropping the hips down. Pulling the chest up at the bottom. Trying to keep our heels flat the whole time. Elbows inside knees. All right, this is a great combo. Ankle mobility, hip mobility, spine stability, and getting a great stretch on the backside as well. So we really enjoy comboing all these movements up together. That keeps our workout time efficient, but then also make sure that we can keep our joints healthy and set ourselves up for success during workout periods. All right. So single leg balance now. We're going to go through the same reaching matrix that we did in that front butt matrix. So reaching down, reaching up 3 times each. Or you can go as low as you comfortably can. Then side bending the torso, reaching over top 3 times each. Remember, push as far as you can without losing balance. If you lose a little bit, that's okay. Just tap the foot to the floor and then regain balance and resume what you're doing. So now touching inside the foot,
It's okay if this feels all herky-jerky and is challenging to hold. You'll get better at it. Reaching down outside the foot and then twisting over the opposite shoulder. 3 times there. Rotation is pretty tough to control on that single leg. Very important though. Okay, switching to the other leg. So reaching down, reaching up. 3 times. Now we're going to side bend. You notice my leg that's not on the ground is kind of following the rest of the body. It's kind of wave out in space a little bit. That's totally fine. You don't have to keep it stuck anywhere. It's part of the whole system, and you can use that leg for some counterbalance as well. So 3 times side bending, and going down inside the foot, twisting over the opposite shoulder. 3 times. You lose it, just pop right back up. You'll keep getting better the more that you do this. There we go. So reaching down outside the foot, over the opposite shoulder, 3 times here. If you're feeling the burn more in the glute and the upper part of your hip, that's where you want it. If you feel the burn in your calf and your foot, you might not be stabilizing quite as efficiently with some of the core and the hip muscles. So over time, trying to use more of a central stabilizing tactic there. Okay. Last thing we're doing is that wall push calf raise. Remember, if for some reason this bothers your foot or your big toe, if you just don't have the mobility there, you can always do this on a step. That's also equally as effective. So if you're doing the wall push calf raise, you're trying to create about 45 degrees of lean. Doesn't have to be a ton of lean, just enough to get some good range of motion out of your ankle. Trying to create a straight long line from the ear all the way through that down leg. And you're trying to pick that other knee up as high as you can. So you're kind of like in a sprinting or a running position. This helps strengthen the lower leg, but then also helps to kind of create some core stability in that exact position that you would run with if you're a runner. We all want to try to get closer and closer to being able to run. It's an important thing for humans to be able to do. Even if we don't like it, still want to have the capability. There we go. About 20 repetitions on each leg. Remember, you're pushing through the big toe and the ball of the foot all the time, trying to allow that foot to roll to the outside edge. It's a pretty common compensation when you're doing a calf raise. So straight up and down, pushing through the ball of the foot and the big toe. Okay.
Okay, folks, we're all loosened up. We're feeling great. Movement prep is finished. Time to get into the real meat of the workout. Okay, so we'll go ahead and show you the example of one of the rounds of the press and the swings. As a reminder too, you can always do bench press on this as well. If you've kind of worked yourself up to being able to handle the barbell well and bench press with great technique, you're going to, you can go ahead and do that. Remember, like we talked about in A-Day, recommend that maybe you take the first maybe 1 to 3 days of this particular phase to find a relative maximum. So on bench press, remember you would try to work up to like a heavy set of 5 or 10, and then go back to the video in A-Day and kind of figure out how to do the projection of your 1 rep max from the repetition maximum. Okay. Once you have that in week 13, you're going to go 7 rounds of 7 repetitions at 55%. And then you're going to jump up each week following that one. And we'll talk about that after that first set. I'm going to pause the video, then we'll fast forward through and get to the auxiliary workout because you can do this stuff on your own. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into the press and the swings. Just to kind of talk about technique. So if you're doing dumbbell bench press, basically it's the same as barbell bench press. You want to maintain 5 points of contact, your feet, your tailbone, between the shoulder blades and the head at all times on the bench. Trying to keep those knuckles pointed straight to the ceiling and those elbows right underneath the barbell or the dumbbell, okay? So 7 reps in week 13, you can immediately stand up and follow that up with a swing, okay? So kettlebell swing or a dumbbell swing is just an explosive hinge, okay? Nothing changes from the technique that you built up over the last 12 weeks. Working on that good deadlift or the RDL, okay? So hips still slide backwards. You still maintain 4 points of contact in the feet. You're allowing the kettlebell to kind of hinge you over and draw those hips back, and you're forcefully extending the hips by firing the glutes first, always maintaining great core alignment by drawing the belly button and keeping the ribs down. You don't have to swing that dumbbell or kettlebell up to about eyeball height. Okay, it doesn't have to go all the way over the head. That is one version, but that's not how we're doing it today. Okay, so go ahead and pause it. So as a reminder, week 13 or week 1 of this phase, you're going 7 rounds of 7 repetitions at 55% on the bench press. Okay, in week 14, week 2 of this phase, we're going for 6 rounds of 6 repetitions. You're going to bump the percentage up to 60%. Okay, and week 15 or week 3 of phase 4. We're going 8 rounds of 5 repetitions, jumping up to 65%. And then on week 16 or week 4 of this phase, you're going 10 rounds of 4 repetitions and you're jumping up to 70%. Okay. And remember, you're always following that round of the core lift with a round of 20 repetitions on the swing. Okay. So get after it, and then we will hit the auxiliary stuff here in just a minute. Okay, so now getting into the auxiliary circuit, just have 3 exercises. You have about 15 minutes to complete that. It probably won't take you more than about 5 to 6 minutes, especially since you guys have this amazing work capacity built up. So 10 repetitions on a inverted row. Remember, always a fan of those suspension straps. You can kind of hack the suspension straps by hanging those knotted sheets over a door frame. Or you can use a barbell for an inverted row as well. Okay, so 10 repetitions there. You're immediately gonna back your feet up and do a suspension strap face pull. Okay, so you're trying to draw those elbows high to the ceiling, pulling the handles kind of right to the bridge of your nose. Okay, so 10 repetitions there, and then you're immediately gonna grab you a weight, and you can just hold it in one hand. So just a reminder, on the single leg RDL, all the action happens on one side. Okay, so you're holding that that weight in one arm, and that same leg is flying back behind you. Okay, you're trying to achieve a straight long line, the ear through the ankle, trying to make your whole body above that support leg move as one unit. Okay, you are always welcome to kind of hold on to something next to you to kind of give yourself a little bit more stability. But you can go straight to level 10 and just work on that balance as well. Just try to remember to keep your whole foot glued to the floor. Make sure you don't lose that big toe, ball of foot, outside edge, and the heel. Okay, so 3 rounds of that, trying to get all the way through it as quickly as possible. That way you leave yourself time to get that conditioning in here as well. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. Okay, great work. You have finished B-Day. That's a challenge. It's going to get more challenging as we go along. The more sets, the higher load. It's going to be even harder and harder each week, but you are more than prepared for this. And you're going to be walking away from this whole 16-week program in the best shape of your life. So make sure that you keep attacking every day. You see how sweaty I am. But let's talk about conditioning. So the conditioning finisher for B-Day for phase 4 is 6 rounds, okay? 60 seconds of work all out, 30 seconds rest, okay? So it'll take about 8.5 minutes. So be short and sweet, and it'll be kind of similar to the feels of that very first stage where you're going the 30 on, 30 off, combined with those minute on, minute off intervals. Okay, so go as hard as you can. Remember that you're more than prepared for this, and that you will dominate it. Okay, we'll see you for C-Day.